Well, like I said, I understand what you all are trying to do, commissioners, and I do. And, you know, as I said, if you all decide to enact this, of course, we'll do everything we can to enforce it. But I also would just like to relate to you, I spoke to the district attorney, Mr. Parrish. Mr. Parrish explained to me that he had some concerns over some of the wording and so forth as far as the prosecution of these cases in the courtroom when it comes to trying them. He said, first of all, we had to establish to make sure that we had an established guideline on the decibel readings that you all are referring to in the ordinance. And in the ordinance, it states that that the sound productivity and so forth, that a daily noise level will be evaluated using a community noise evaluation instrument to calibrate and the weight and the sound and so forth over a 24-hour period. So there will be a cost there that you all, somebody's gonna have to incur to make sure that we have a level on a 24-hour day that we can use as a guideline, as a standard. And he said that was the first question he had, was who was gonna establish that standard. He also mentioned later on in there about the calibration and so forth of the instruments. And again, we checked on that, and as Mr. Jordan said, the instruments are not so much so bad as far as the price goes, as far as actual instrument in hand, but the calibration kits are what is the cost is associated with it that we'll have to have as well. So there was additional cost on that. Mr. Parrish ran this by a group of attorneys, Attorney Wyatt, Attorney Dixon, I'm sure Pitt's familiar with several of them, and they said that they saw some loopholes in there that could create problems later on in the courtroom. And talking with Judge Bean, who was our senior district court judge, he said that there was some wording in there that he did not quite understand, and I highlighted that for him. At the back there, you all have it listed. Go to the, if you all got a copy of it, go to the back section 7, violations and penalties. You'll go to section B, where it states there that any person violating the provision of this article shall be subject to a civil penalty of $50. And that is each day of continuing violation, and this constitutes a separate violation under this situation. The catch on that, folks, is the civil penalty. As it is right now, we go out, we give a warning, and you all authorized us a few years back to get a county citation, which is listed on here that actually covers noise, and it covers the noise as a general vehicle or animal noise. And we have been doing the $50 straight penalty across the line, which is fine. But if you read a little bit further down, it says in section 2 that the county commissioners or a designee shall authorize to assess civil penalties under this article and should make written demands for payment upon the person responsible for the violation. The next thing is, it goes down there, if payment is not received and the settlement reached within 60 days after the demand of payment is made, the matter shall be referred to the county attorney for the institution of a civil action named against the county and the appropriate person in the general district courts of Gates County to recover the penalties. Well, the thing is, folks, or gentlemen, is if you're using that as a civil penalty, the cost of court to get a civil judgment is $86 to take out a small claims action and get somebody for a $50 fine. Doesn't take Einstein to figure that out. We're wasting money when you're taking out a civil action against a $50 fine. It goes on to talk about this being a class 3 penalty and the provision and so forth as far as a fine up to not exceed more than $400. Judge Bean was asking, was this going to be a civil action or is it going to be a criminal action? And we need to make a determination on whether to be a civil or criminal. Now this right here, the citation we issue, I'm going to do whatever you all tell me to. If you say give them a warning, which we will give them a warning, which we've been doing on the other citation. Then we issue a $50 citation under the rules and guidelines we have right now. We issue a county citation, which is only a $50 citation. In most cases, the people are taking care of these and coming in and paying off the $50 to the county. If they fail to do so, I can take the information off of this. If it stays as a criminal action, I can take this information off this citation and recover a criminal summons, which costs the county nothing, and issue that person a criminal summons, which is where we would bring them to court. So Judge Bean's question is in here, when you talk about civil penalties, and then down a little bit further, you talk about criminal penalties, he wants to make sure that if he's the one that's gonna be issuing the penalty, whether it's gonna be civil or whether it's gonna be criminal. And that was some of the questions that he had as a judge. So as I said, gentlemen, I understand what y'all are trying to do, and I'm all for it. But we just need to make sure that we get this clarification in there some way or another in the wording of that, so that not only the district attorney, the judges, but everyone that's defending it as well, is able to do so. I've actually had citizens that were at a last meeting that heard it, and one gentleman walked to me and said, "Write me a ticket." He said, "I'll fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, the way it's worded right now." So, anyway, I'm here to support you all. Y'all know I'll do whatever I can to help y'all and understand what you're trying to do. And I'm all for trying to keep the OLF out of this county. But just some little clarification things there that we need to clarify.
Sure, we would be willing to work with the language.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be glad. As I said, the district attorney said that if you all would, he would gladly come. He just said he works 7 counties. He's tied up in Superior Court in Dare County today. But he said if we could get it, particularly, he said if you had an evening meeting, that he would be glad to come over and try to relay some of the things there. Something that you may need Pitt to look at, and let him see if he can clarify, understanding the difference between a civil case and a criminal case is entirely 2 different types of actions.
Sure. Let me read Camden County. They say, any violation of this chapter shall be subject to civil penalty in the amount of $50. Each day's continuing violation shall be separate and distinct offense. Notwithstanding Division A above, provision of this chapter may be enforced through equitable remedies issued by a court of a competent jurisdiction. Now, here's key. In addition to and in lieu of remedies authorized in divisions A through C above, violations of this chapter may be prosecuted as a misdemeanor in accordance with General Statute 168-175. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, sir. And that's the criminal penalty.
And that's the criminal penalty?
That's the criminal penalty. Yes, sir.
Now, that's what Camden County has implemented.
Yes, sir. And that's what we're asking, like I said, that's where the judge had the question. If you read it, as you all have it listed here, you're having in section B, is civil penalties. Civil penalties is different from criminal. And if you do that, and then under a civil penalty, as it says, at the end of the 60 days, it has not been commanded or taken care of, then it's turned over to the county attorney, who seeks basically a small claims action, which costs the county $86 per action. If you do away with civil penalties and make this a criminal offense, make sure it's a criminal offense, then when I issue a $50 ticket, if they do not pay it, we usually give them 7 days, 7 working days. If they do not pay it, then what we have been doing under the old action, the old noise ordinance that we've had in effect, that's how we've been enforcing it. I can take this information, go before one of my magistrates, and draw a criminal summons. Serve that just as a summons to come to court. If we go out there, the way we've been handling this as it is right now, if we get a complaint on noise, we approach the person, we ask them to turn it down. They cooperate, no problem. We go back the second time, we usually give them a county citation. If we come back the third time, same night, we issue a state citation, which it just goes up to a higher level where they come before the gentleman in the courtroom. If we go back the 4th time, then we place them under arrest and bring them before the magistrate, and the magistrate makes them post a